So, if you've been following along on my channel, you know that last week I did my moderators, I have 3 of them, top 5 designer fragrances, and I ranked the list from 1 to 3. I then released my own top 5 designer fragrances for the spring, and now we're getting into their niche list. So we're going to do my 3 moderators, 15 fragrances, their top 5 spring niche fragrances, and then I'm going to rank them. So without further ado, let's get it. What's good, my great smelling dudes? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Randy, aka Fragrance Dude. Thank you guys so much for joining me for yet another top 5 moderator list, where again, as of last year in the fall, me and my 3 moderators, which I have 4, but one of them is Jeff from SoCal since he's a reviewer. So we have the 3 moderators, Mo, Hamot, and Noot, and they get together. They give me their top 5 designer and niche fragrances for each season for a year, and then at the end of each season we go through. I do a video for the designers, then I do my own top 5 designer fragrances, then we go through and we do the top 5 niche fragrances for that season, and then again I do my own. So right now we are on the 3rd video, which is my moderators top 5 niche fragrances for the spring season, now that the spring is just about over. Before we get into that, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Make sure everybody on the way in hits that like. Helps out a brother, takes 2 seconds. Comment below. Let me know some of your favorite spring niche fragrances. And so we do include, and we talked about this, we do include like private blends into the niche category. We do include like the higher end stuff into the niche category, like the Tom Ford private blends, like I said. So just an FYI. And then something like Louis Vuitton, we would consider that niche, even though they technically are a designer. People look at that as niche. It's like a $320 bottle. So people just look at it even though they are technically a designer. With that said, we're going to start out here with Noot. So Noot's list is good. Well, actually, I'm going to start out with Hamot, aka Rob, because he has a few on there that I've never even heard of. So we can get through his list and then flow on to the others, which I do have visual presentations for. Anyway, so Hamot, the first choice on his list was actually quite interesting, but first I'm going to give you the 2 runners-up that he had. He had one, Louis Vuitton's Pacific Chill, which would actually be in my top 5 most likely. This is the first Louis Vuitton I've ever bought. It is minty. It has that nice like peach apricot mixture. It's very, very beautiful, high quality, high-end fragrance. I actually would put this, and he had that in his runners up. So we can only imagine what's in his top 5. And then the other one is Parfums de Marly Greenly. That's his other runner-up, which again, I would have that in my runners up. So I agree with that. But his first one on the list actually confuses me. I would have put either of the other 2 into this list, and this one to me is a beach fragrance for the summer. And he lives above me. So Hamot, I know you're watching this. This one is definitely, and I know I said Terre d'Hermes Eau de Givray was on your designer list, and that one was more of a summer. This one is a beach fragrance. I mean, it's known for a beach fragrance, so I'm even more confused about this being in a spring list. It is Creed's Virgin Island Water. I mean, I could see like Royal Water and Green Irish Tweed and a Ventus Cologne and all that being on the, but Virgin Island Water, it's tropical citrus. Like, I don't see that being on a spring list, especially because I know you don't live in like LA. Like, if you lived in LA and Florida, I could give you a pass, but you live in New York. So I don't know. Well, I do have to say, this fragrance is great. It's one of the best fragrances in my collection. It has that beautiful lime in there. It is super effervescent. You get a bit of woods, a bit of this like vanillic tone in the dry down, but it's, don't get it twisted. It is a citrus tropical fragrance. Very, very beautiful fragrance. Absolutely love it. I mean, it's just super high quality and super zingy, and I love it. But I don't see that being, tell me, actually, I want you guys to let me know in the chat. Do you think Virgin Island water is a spring or a summer fragrance? And also, if you do answer that question, let me know what state you live in, because that does make a difference. Anyway, going into the next one. So I was pointing out the Pacific Chill, how I have this one. Well, his number 2 is Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Louis Vuitton's Imagination, I was super stoked to try. Whenever I got this, one of the main reasons I bought it online, because I could have just went to the Louis Vuitton store and bought this and then had it that day. But I wanted to get the free decants, and they had a decant of L'Immensity, which I wanted to try, which I got, and then they had a decant of Imagination, but I guess they sold out, and they ended up sending me, instead of another men's fragrance or a unisex fragrance, they sent me a women's rose fragrance. So I still haven't tried Imagination, but I don't know anything about it. You guys, I'll put the notes up on the screen. You guys could take a look. I honestly know literally nothing about Louis Vuitton's Imagination. I always like to keep myself in the dark when it comes to fragrances I might be interested in and down the road. And with all the hype behind that fragrance, I will be interested in it. I want to try it out first. And that's how I've been with all Louis Vuitton fragrances. I've kind of kept myself distanced from that house for a specific reason. But with that said, my wife talked me into getting this because she loves it. Anyway, so number 2 for his list was Louis Vuitton's Imagination. The next 3 I have never heard of. Not even once. I haven't heard it on any other channels. The next one, number 3, is Kajal Aican, Aican. And he said it is basically a tropical fragrance with an undertone of Tigar or vibrato, kind of like that, I'm guessing, ginger citrus mixture that is underneath a tropical fragrance. Kajal Aican, I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard anything about it. It didn't get the best ratings online, so I'm not 100% sure. If I ever get like a decant, it's not something I'm going to go in blind by because I've never heard of it outside of him saying that now. But again, tropical fragrance. That super confuses me. Whenever I think of tropical fragrance, I don't think of the spring. But again, I haven't tried it, so I don't know. But knowing what he did with Virgin Island water, Hamot, I'm starting to think that you're thinking tropical fragrances are a spring thing.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Anyway, going to the next one. The next one, he said, is like an orange creamsicle. He said it was like an orange creamsicle with aldehydes, but it is PROFUMUM Roma, and it's Dulcis in Fundo. So that's PROFUMUM Roma, and I've seen this brand, but I don't know how to pronounce it. It says PROFUMUM Roma, and it's Dulcis, Dulcis, in Fundo. And again, I know nothing about it. I've tried one PROFUMUM Roma. Somebody sent, again, if I'm saying that wrong, whatever. PROFUMUM Roma. I've tried one of them. It wasn't for me. Didn't really like it. But that one, Dulcis in Fundo, again, he said orange creamsicle with aldehydes. Kind of sounds like another fragrance I've tried. That's only like $20, $25. It's called Lolita Lempica Green Lover. It's like that, except for it has a touch of green tones in it. But I'd be interested in to try that. I mean, sounds really nice, but I have never heard of it before until right now, like I said. And then the last one, I've heard the name, but I've never seen anybody like talk about it or anything. But it's Vertus Oud Noir. So I actually talked to somebody about this right before I did this video. And it wasn't Hamot or Mo or Noot. And they said it was like a lot of rose. And he told me that it's clean and fruity, sweet with a touch of florals. I heard somebody told me that it was like a fruity, heavy rose fragrance with a bunch of woods. So I honestly don't know. You guys can tell me in the chat. You can say whatever you want. I've never heard of these fragrances before. I've heard of Vertus. But the only one from Vertus I've heard of is Vertus Vanilla Oud. Outside of that, I haven't heard of any other fragrances from them. And Kajal, I've heard of Dahab, and Kajal, the other one. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that is Hamzat's list. So Virgin Island Water, Louis Vuitton Imagination. I can already say he's going to get third because, again, 3 fragrances I've never heard of and one that I think is for the summer. Actually, and one that I haven't tried. So sorry, Hamzat. They might all be great. I just haven't tried any. But that's why I did him first.
That's what she said. Oh my God, what am I saying?
Anyway, going into the next one. So I have this bottle on the way, and I should have it by now. I have ordered it 3 times from 3 separate websites, and every single time it was canceled. It is getting harder to find, but it has a shipping notification from Venba. It is on the way. I was hoping it would be here for this video, but it is Torino 21, and this is Noot's first one on his list. Basically citrus, minty, high quality, has a bit of woods. It is herbaceous, but it's very green. If you want a mint centric fragrance, then there you go. It has some citrus, but don't get it twisted. It's kind of like the niche version of like a Zara's Wild Mint, just with more of like a high quality citrus underneath, a bit of like an herbaceous tone that is not the mint. But Torino 21 is perfect for the spring. It's also perfect for the summer. Really good fragrance, but because green comes out like a spring fragrance, yeah. So that is number 1 on his list. But I do want to, he gave me a bunch of runners up that I forgot to mention. Apple Brandy on the Rocks, which I find to be more of a fall and winter scent. But I can understand him saying it's spring because fall, spring kind of same. It's just because of the brandy part of it and the apples, it just automatically clicks in my head. That's more for fall because fall for me is apples. But Apple Brandy on the Rocks. The other one is by Rado Gypsy Water, which I kind of wish that he would have sent the package and I would have had it by now because I would have wanted to try that. There's another one on his list that he's sending me in a decan. He just hasn't sent them yet because both me and him procrastinate really bad. Anyway, the next one is Xerjoff Nio, which I like. I know it's Justin's favorite Xerjoff and one of his favorite fragrances, Justin Copeland. But Neo's okay. It doesn't like spark any joy for me like Torino 21 does, or Uden. And then the last one is Green Irish Tweed by Creed. Anyway, those are the runners up. So Torino 21 was his first on the list of 5. The second one is definitely going to be on my list. If it's not on your list, then you probably just don't like it, I guess. It's Nishane's Wulong Cha. And this is the X straight. I haven't tried the X. I do want to try the X, but fig tea, fruity, green, unisex, tea heavy, and it's oolong tea, like Wulong Cha. And then it has that nice fruitiness. Again, in my designer video, I said that there was Vintage Green by Banana Republic, which is kind of like their version of this. This one is just a higher quality. It has that green grassy tone, but it's definitely tea-centric. It definitely has that nice fruity fig underneath it. A little bit of a citric top, but for the most part, it's fruity, it's tea. It has a nice woody tone underneath it. It's definitely musky and green. Nishane's Wulong Cha, really, really nice fragrance. My wife finds it too girly. She thinks that it's too unisex, leaning feminine. I disagree with that, and so I continued. It's one of the few fragrances I just don't listen to her bullshit with. That's like one of my favorite green fragrances. I mean, I got it in this year, and it's already like, what, like 10, 15 milliliters gone. But that's his number 2. That is Noot's number 2. The third one on his list is one, again, I told you I was hoping to have the decant from him by now so I could use it for this video to be able to explain it, but unfortunately he hasn't sent it yet. So this is Gentle Fluidity Silver by Mason Francis Kirkjohn. Yeah, I have not tried that, so unfortunately I have no background on it. I know nothing about it. I'm guessing it's some kind of fresh fragrance. I'll put the notes on the screen. You guys could take a look at it for just a second. But Gentle Fluidity Silver is one of the many MFK fragrances I wanted to try. But I came into reviewing and starting into niche with a prejudice against MFK freshies because somebody, Jeff from SoCal Sense, told me that MFK Freshies, at least I think it was him, said all MFK Freshies suck. And so I had a prejudice against them. But I've heard there actually are a few good ones out there. But you guys tell me in the chat, do you agree with him or do you disagree? Anyway, that is Noot. I said Moot. That's Noot's number 3. His number 4, I do have a bottle for. This is a brand new one to my collection, but it's such a nice fragrance. It's actually really hyped this year. This is Micallef GN Tonic, or GN Tonic. Really nice bottle. Some people don't like the cap because it's real thin, like ceramic or something. But take a little baby bit of gin and tonic and put it underneath. On top of it, take Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche, which I have on the table, so I'll just show it. Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche, which is that like ambroxan, green, fresh, citrus, and then mix that together with the counterpart to this, Lacoste Blanc Eau Intense, which is that like heavy turmeric ginger smell with some spice and again some citrus and some just smash those two together, and that is exactly what Micallef Gin Tonic smells like. It's a little bit more closer to the Lacoste Blanc Eau Intense than anything, but you still, especially in the opening, you can smell pieces of the Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche. It's just this one has a bit more of that spice, a bit more of that heavy ginger that's more sharp, but it's really nice, and then again layered on top of a bit of gin and tonic. But the gin and tonic is actually really not as strong as I'd expected going into a GN Tonic fragrance, but yeah. That is Micallef Gin and Tonic, and it actually lasts like 8 to 9 hours. Really good fragrance. Anyway, going into his last one, I've never tried this. That's actually one of the few creeds that they do not carry in my Nordstrom's, which they have like a huge pyramid full of creeds, but this one they don't have. It is Creed Himalaya. I've tried the Green Irish Tweeds, all of the Aventuses. I've tried Virgin Island Water, Royal Water, Viking Cologne, Royal Oud, Spice and Woods, all of those. Never tried Himalaya. Never even seen it. So, yeah. This is a fun one. This is a fun video. I don't even know half the stuff that's on here. And now that I'm looking at Mo's, he has 3 that I've never heard of too. So I guess that's why Niche is so interesting, because I know that a lot of these, the other 2 people and myself haven't heard of. And so it's all personal. Like you look at the notes, maybe you get a decant in with one of your orders and you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy that. Or you're on a certain channel and you see it. And so everybody's tastes are different, and everybody has a different method of figuring out what fragrances they want to buy next. So that's what makes the niche. But in the designer community, a lot of their fragrances matched up. They were very similar to each other's. Well, with this one, it wasn't. Anyway, so that was his last one. That was Noot. His was Torino 21, Wulong Cha, Gentle Fluidity Silver, GN Tonic, and Creed Himalaya. The last one is Mo, and he has 3 runners-up. The first runner-up I have over there, I just don't feel like grabbing it. It's Tom Ford's Soleil Neige. I gave him a decant of that as a surprise, and it was a mystery decant, and he loved it. It is almost like a high-quality sunscreen, jasmine, sandalwood, vanilla mixture. Very, very nice. Creamy, spring, summer, really, really good fragrance. The next one is Bleecker Street, which I've had like 9 different times to try this fragrance, and I've just never got around to it. I need to do it. The blueberry, and every time I hear blueberry, I'm like, oh, I want to try that. And then people are like, stay away. It's too grassy. I don't know what people were talking about. It's violet heavy. So I don't know. I'm going to get to Bleecker Street. I almost blind bought it the other day, but then Torino 21 showed back up. And then the last runner-up is Green Irish Tweed, which you guys all know. It's kind of like the niche cold water with a twist. Anyway, so the next one on Mo's list, the first one on Mo's list, I should say, is Nishane's Wulong Cha. So this guy, the one that we just talked about, and I'm not talking about it again. So good choice, Mo. The next one on his list is one that we just talked about, and a one I just mentioned like 6 seconds ago, Torino 21. And again, if I would have did this video like 2 days later, I would have had the bottle of Torino 21, so it kind of makes me mad. It's just I had to get this out of the way because next week I'm going away. So Yes, Torino 21, great choice. And then the next three I've never heard of. This one I've heard of only because he mentioned it today, and it was House of Sillage, the Contemporary. And the bottle was actually sick. He showed us the bottle, and the atomizer has a little lid to it, and then you press a button, and like a flask, instead of the flask flipping backwards, this one slides out of the way. It's like super cool looking. But I have read up on this just after he mentioned it, and he also said this. It's almost like a Versace Dylan Blue meets Plum Japonais. It's a darker blue fragrance with some spice and amber, but then it meets that plum from Plum Japonais. And I've heard it's like a mix of the two. So if that interests you, you should definitely try out the House of Sillage, the Contemporary. That's all I have for you. And then the next one is Essential Parfums Bois Imperial. And again, I know nothing about this fragrance. I will put the notes on the screen so you can see everything about it, just like I will do for any fragrance that I haven't tried before. But Bois Imperial is made by, there's a perfumer. It's on the bottle. I just can't remember. Didn't write it down or anything like that. But yeah, and the last one on his list is Memoirs of a Perfume Collector, Trouble in Paradise. So I actually looked this one up right before the video because I was interested to see what it was. And it kind of looks like a mix between like Baccarat Rouge 540 if you mix it together with like God of Fire and the mango and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that's the one that I looked up. I'm surprised. I don't think he's ever mentioned this to me. And if he did, it was like he posted it in our group chat and I just misplaced it. But yeah, I'm surprised to hear that's on his top 5 list for spring because I usually when Mo loves something, you guys would see in the group chat, he goes crazy and he talks about it for like days and days. And then you need to try this. And then he'll end up sending it to me because I haven't responded or something like that. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in that for sure. But I mean, I've tried a lot of fruity tropical fragrances this year. So maybe that could be saved for next year. I'm not sure. But the House of Sillage, the Contemporary, I definitely want to try. I don't know anything about Bois Imperial. But this one is really hard to rank because for Mo, I didn't know 3 of them. I haven't tried 3 of them. For Hamot, I haven't tried any of them, and one of them is except for Virgin Island water. And to me, that's a summer fragrance, so I know he's 3rd. So I'm going to have to give it to Noot again. He's going to get 2 in a row because at least I have tried 3 fragrances on that list, and his runners-up. Mo wins on the runner-up. If his runners-up were on the actual list, then Mo would have won. But because his runners-up weren't on the list, he almost put the Soleil Neige. If he put that Soleil Neige in place of Bois Imperial, then it probably would have won. But Noot won, in my opinion. Let me know who you guys think won. Again, I'm still getting into niche. I have like 60, maybe 65 niche and still growing, but there's like thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of different fragrances, so it's hard to know all of these, but I'm definitely going to check out the Contemporary, and then I'm going to ask Hamot about the PROFUMUM Roma Dulcis de Fundo, because that one actually looks good. Orange creamsicle with aldehyde. Sounds nice. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and again, I'll be back with my top 5 niche later this week. Peace out.